I'm Satyen Vaiude. I'm qualified as environment professional. I've been working as environmental consultant for a long time, and I'm into the environment domain. So I'm the founder of the company called Shubhankru Sustainable Solutions Private Limited, and we have a product name which is called as Comptrack. So we are co-founders into the into Comptrack.
Hi, I'm Lara Menezes. I'm qualification-wise a chartered accountant. Then I went into entrepreneurship, and now I'm a co-founder at Comptrack.
We were looking out for some this one. We were tracking the whole system, and we got some funny little names. Sustain was there.
Do you see this? I mean, compliance and tracking.
Tracking.
So Comptrack.
So it just mixed two words together. Earlier it was Trancom, and then we had n number of words. It was like series of words we had.
We just thought this made the most sense, and it's just very simple.
In the compliance domain, I've been working for last 25 years. So it's in the whole journey has been professional journey has been into compliance. So I just that idea was already there, and we wanted a new approach to the compliance domain, which actually is like no one wants to do it, or no one is if they want to do it also, they don't know what the idea is. So we just wanted to incorporate technology into the whole system, and getting together was like I was in FiiRE for my startup idea. So we interacted with FiiRE, we interacted with Prashant on this front. Then I was interacting with him. So as a incubator, he was aware of like a lot of people who are in this domain, and compliance being a domain which there are very few people available. And subsequently, they are traveling all of Goa. So I was in Madgaon. I'm in Madgaon. She is in Panjim. So he came with the idea. Then he encouraged that we both come together and sit and understand our core values, like compliance being the core value, then technology into it, and then solving the major issue of statutory compliance. So that's where we both got together, and then the idea of using compliance requirements with the use of technology and giving a proper service. What are the compliance needs of the industry, and what are what the company should follow? That whole thing we incorporated into a software system where you get all the alerts, and it's not just about the alerts. It is about after alerts, giving the services to them so that they become compliant to statutory requirements.
I was an entrepreneur for the past 12 years. We had a business which we gave up last year, and I was in the process of like running a business is one thing and winding up a business is a different story. So I was in the process of trying to do something new and winding up my business at the same time, doing a lot of online courses and keen to do something. And I happened to meet Prashant when I came to FiiRE. And I was telling Prashant about how difficult it was to shut a business after running it. It was as difficult because what happened, I shut my business, we put everything in storage, and we went about cancelling all our registrations and whatever. And even then we had to go back 5 years to get, documents, get different kind of stuff. And I realized, oh my God, this is like terrible. Because, you put things in storage, then compliance for me, it was very person-driven. It was more than process-driven. And for me, being a chartered accountant, I knew how important compliance was. But, I was conversant with financial compliance, not with other compliances. So when I was telling Prashant my journey, he was like, what, we have somebody who's into compliance, and why don't you all meet? And I thought when we met, it kind of, we clicked. Because it was exactly the struggle that I was facing and something that Satyen was working on, which I think we could have really synergized. So what happens is you always wake up to a notice. You always wake up, and then, then to go back, you waste so much of productive time. Because one is, the person might have left, okay? You don't know what is required of you. You need to go back into historical records and all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of losing your productive time. And then, filing is another thing also. If you're not organized in your filing, sometimes we fall short of space. We kind of keep physical documents somewhere else. To go back to that is a pain game. So with Comptrack, I think what I liked most about the idea was the fact that the whole repository is available online. So we can go and refer to it at any time. So, it's an online thing. And as an entrepreneur, as an owner, you are aware of what's happening. Otherwise, what happens is only when you get a notice, you kind of wake up saying, okay, now I need to do this. Like, why has it not been done? And probably you've realized the person has left or you didn't know it had to be done. And then you're kind of looking in the rearview mirror rather than looking forward. And I think in entrepreneurship, it's very important to spend more of your time looking forward and strategizing rather than spending a lot of time on these kind of things.
To add to this point is, now she said about some notices are being issued. Now you say a notice is issued to you. To understand and to solve that issue, normally if you take a notice from any department, normally a 15 days goes into your compliance requirements and then setting it out, making yourself clean. And one issue as a notice, when it comes to you, it gives a bad name to your organization and to the owner as such or to the management as such. So that needs to be avoided, and managements are more interested in avoiding all those things. So, but then what happens is, if you don't follow it, and the government expects that you should have your 5-year-old data. At least max to max is 7 years, but at least 5 years data has to be there. Now 5 years data, next month we forget what we had done in next month, and then understanding and analyzing the 5-year-old data is a very complicated thing, and then we tend to forget it. It's not our life like film, like I remember each and every word of it. So it's very difficult. So getting the whole thing in one place and keeping it in one place is the main crux of the issue that we are solving it out. I was interacting with a lot of my clients. So 90% of my clients, you say, were not aware of what they want to do. They were taking permissions, and you see, let's take pollution control board as this one, because I'm more into environment domain. Let's take pollution control board as example. You see, pollution control board, you need a PUC certificate. Basically, it's called as consent to operate from pollution. Now, it is a 4 to 5 pages document. No one reads it. First you read is when it is issued and up to what time it is issued. But then there are other things. Your monthly compliances are there. Sometimes there are 6 monthly compliances also based on your production and the category of the industry. Then you have yearly compliance. Now, monitoring is not been done, and then you don't put it on the domain, and then you don't do it, and then some notice from a green tribunal or from the pollution control board, then the whole thing gets shut down. So the question means, my earlier earlier organization when I was working, retrieving that 5-year data was simply becoming untenable, and we could not understand from where to get the data. So that was the clicking point where understood that yes, there is something which is lagging. And then eventually speaking with the family, especially your kids are more tech savvy. So you understanding with them, then having interaction with FiiRE, they were all in startup, and the gist was there that we should put something into place. So then came with idea, why don't you use technology into it? Then what technology? Then we want to store it. Then you store it, then how you store it? What are the requirements? Your monthly requirements are also to be stored. Your 5-year data is also to be retrievable. And more importantly, what the thing was, I was thinking of making the organization inspection ready. Now, if I say what is inspection ready means, you see today anybody comes to your premises. Say pollution control board officials come at your premises. Now they want your old data. What is your monitoring been done? What is your compliances that have been undertaken? Your hazardous waste or Form 5, whatever it is. So there that data now, and that very day, your safety officer, your environment officer, or your HR person is on leave for whatever their personal reasons or whatever other reasons. Or he might have gone for a training, or you have sent him for some other official work. and then nobody is answerable. You don't know where to answer. So instead, you can give him that, put him on the system, show him that yes, on Comptrack you go, you take our login, in the login you show, this is what is been done. These are the number of compliances that are required. This is the situation that we are today. So you can check any of the data. So he can check the data. If anything is there, he can always call you, you can always meet him and sort his clarifications on that. So that will solve most of the problems, and that will give a peace of mind for the top management basically, that my things are in place. So even if these people come, they are bound to come. That is the duty of the government to check that. They are bound to come, they will come. Even if they come, my 15 days are not wasted. Only might be in half an hour or 1 hour or 2 hours, or means I'm giving it, actually you're giving back to the society. So you're giving to the government, and then government is satisfied. Their 15 days are, your productive time comes back to you.
And not only that, I've realized that even people in all the compliance offices, they are overworked with all this. Because, most organizations are not compliant. And not compliant how? Because they don't know what to do. Because it's such a vast topic.
Yeah, continuing to that, we were discussing this when we were organizing our software to it. We are looking into domain of environment, HR, then GST, mines, safety, and ISO also we have included. We are not in, we are into statutory also, but ISO is additional to it. Now in these 5, you see monthly there are some 7 compliances in various departments, 7 compliances monthly. Quarterly there are 3 of them. Then 6 monthly there are 4 of them, and yearly there are something around 21. Now, if you take the whole thing together in 1 year, there are something around 125 compliances you have to do.
What happens, the large size guys, they have the pockets to kind of invest in this kind of, having dedicated people looking at their compliance and like having processes, or, they'll hire a big consulting firm to do it for them, whatever. But it's the small and medium ones which are actually worse off. I think we would help those way more than the bigger ones.
Yeah, basically, when we startup means this idea came into picture, then the whole process of understanding the market size, then we were discussing all this, and then we took our own surveys, because we took a lot of professional inputs into all this before coming up to a software idea. So when we were gathering data, that time also we found out that the top layer, the most cream layer of the entrepreneurs or the organizations, they have all the setup with them. But the medium and the bottom line, even as startups, most of them, they don't know what compliances they have to do. They know their idea, they know their business, they know how to excel. But along with excel, you have to have your statutory things. Like in startup, you say there are some 3 laws they have given an exemption. Actually, it is 3 years of moratorium period. So after 3 years, again you have to do it. And no entrepreneur is planning for a 3-year stunt. He will at least plan for 10 years, 15 years. And so remaining 17 years, he has to do it. So then he does not understand what to do. So right from the start, you start making yourself compliant, becomes a peace of mind at certain point of time as you grow bigger. And for the medium scale organizations also, where for this compliance there are 1 or 2 people, 1 person, and that person is mixed with other activities. Your accounting also he has to do, your HR also he has to manage, and then he is duty bound to forget it. Then what is important? Mostly as general public or this one, finance is more important. Yeah. So basically we look into finance. Your 31st March compliance, everybody does. No one forgets that. That idea just clicked at one point of time, that see what the government is doing, that they are giving you alerts. Now you are in November. Now December, you say January, then your newspapers will be flooded, your media will be flooded, then your alerts will be there, SMS will come, your banks will give you alerts that 31st is your last approaching, better. So you start planning for that. So similarly also we are doing it in that way, so that your monthly is also coming up. In 10 days you have to file. So from 5th of that, now you start activities. Yearly which is coming. So yearly there is last due date is that. So it's coming, now approaching, now you do your things. So that gives an alert. So then automatically the thinking process starts, and the last moment hurdle and those issues that come because of that last moment unplanned returns, that will be sorted out most of them.
Yeah, it would at least be largely sorted out. It's an evolving app. I think we would have to, first we are just onboarding, but then I think it would be continuously evolving here forward to kind of make it more and more dynamic. But yeah, we did have a tough time with pharma companies because they believe that they're compliant, that they need to be compliant for this, meaning that pharma needs to be compliant. But the thing is that there's a lot in addition to the regular pharma compliance as well. So we're still trying to track that. We're working on it. But people have been very receptive. Like we did a whole questionnaire and we sent it to a bunch of entrepreneurs, and there was not a single person who actually replied saying they're fully in control of compliance. Every single person introspected and they said that they were not in control of compliance.
And when we were doing this survey, they were saying that don't publish this information because we don't want that we should know how much we are compliant into. So we said no, it's a secret that will remain with us. We just want to understand the market. So when we analyzed, it was 90% of them they're not sure whether the things are being done, and that follow-up was not there. And if they had to follow up also, it was a physical thing. So today morning, if I remember, and you are there going to Delhi and coming back, and by 3 days your already work is done and you have forgotten the main compliance issue. Now you go, you remember that right now I have to check what is the compliance status. You just open our app, you open our portal, you will come to know what is the situation, and so you can always tell the employee that your things are due, and along with that you will get an alert, email alert. So normally when we were surveying it, we found out that 100% of them are reading all the mails, irrespective of their sales mails or whatever it is. They read all the mails. So then they give priority. No, this is not important, so forget it. This is not important, forget it. Then we will do it after 2 days, and that 2 days does not come.
Yeah, and the dashboard, if you see the dashboard just lets you know what is due.
So basically, when we were planning the whole thing, when we say compliance, so compliance is normally done by a top management or the person who is on a good repute, or who is in the top position of the organization. He's mostly into the compliance domain. Now he understands, but then the execution of the work is done by a down below person who is just a graduate, just passed out graduate. Most of the organizations are that way, and they have been monitored by the top management, and so that gap always remains because his experience is different, and being a new there is a difference in opinion. So we thought, let's plan it for a 12th pass person who is looking into this filling of data, because lot of input for this one is filling of data. So let's understand that. So from that perspective, making it simple for this person, automatically the top management, it becomes more simpler. So we planned it in that way, and then small clicks, that this click, you go there. The email ID and password is simple to remember, that normally everybody has. So that once he logs in, then there are hardly any complicated things. HR. So HR tab is there for HR. Environment, there is tab for environment, there is tab for safety. So you click on that. So clicking is more simple. So once you click on that, then the other information comes. Then this task comes in between. So it is a button. So you click on the button, then another window pops.
It throws up all the forms that you need to fill up. It tells you how often you need to fill them up as well. So it throws information to you rather than you having to hunt for for information. Like, and I would differ from what Satyen is saying that the top management is aware. I think in most cases the top management is not aware. We rely on the people who are below us. And when that person leaves, the whole process falls. And then you wake up with a notice. So, it becomes very person-driven rather than process-driven. So, I think from an entrepreneur's point of view, this would save a lot of trouble because it would become more process-driven. Not like he can do the process, but at least he's aware of what needs to be done and say A is not there, delegated to B. Like I'm talking about medium-sized and small-sized enterprises.
In this, it's a continuous process. Means we are looking into ISO where it says that it's a continual process has to be there. But here what we are doing is, will be doing is a continuous process. Because every input from the client will be utilized in such a way that it becomes more simpler. And like that we said that from the bottommost portion will start, even though the top management sees at it, how it is to be seen or making it simple for the data feeding to be done. All those things and use of analytics so that the top management gets a clear picture, a graphical representation of what is happening. Like say your how much is your due compliances are been due, how much they have been done. Then what is the internal analysis, like taking for example of environment. What is your pH level throughout the year? What is your TDS level throughout the year, COD level throughout the year? That data also will be useful in planning and execution and upgradation and whatever your raw material consumption. Like for ETP, there is a lot of raw material that is being used, like lime, acids are used, base are used. So when is the peak time? When is the low time? Normally this data is not there properly kept with, which is not easily available to the top management. So top management, like, if they want, like we are, how much we are spending, like your PF, ESI you speak, how much manpower is there, because that manpower has a lot of correlations. Your PF is there, ESI is there, and that whole thing is going to the environmental thing where what is the design of ETP, what is the water consumption, what is the billing that will happen. So whole things gets a complete map of your organization. We are trying to, we want to bring it to the top management.
Yeah, and I think eventually as we have money, right now the app is simple, but as we have money, we would love to get some AI in this also, where we can actually map it with the government websites directly. Like today what happens, we will fill the form, everything, and then we will just upload it in our system and say, okay, this is complied with, and we know that the compliance is done. But eventually, I'm saying with AI, we would like to take the form directly from the government site, get it filled up and upload it, but that involves a lot of money. So I think that would be in the next few years.
Yeah. I would say that if you are through with your product, if your idea, see this funding is about for your idea, and that idea has to be substantiated with some findings, your field data or your earlier experiences, and that has to be a realistic thing. And if you see what happens is, if you present a wrong data, it's easily traceable. And in this new generation and new startup, this IT domain, it is easily traceable. So and more importantly is the confidence that you have in your product. If you don't have confidence, if you are bluffing or something like that, it's easily catchable. And that passion has to be there for that. If you have the passion, then that bluffing does not come into picture. Now, people might feel that it is a simple activity. Creating a pitch itself is a lot of this one, and more importantly, you have to pitch within that 10 minutes. And this whole compliance issue, now I'm taking off compliance, the compliance issue, if I speak, I can speak for 1 hour, I can speak for half an hour. But speaking for and explaining that whole market and the whole thing in 5 minutes is not an easy job. It takes a lot of efforts into it. And that efforts your efforts gives you results. Grant is like You should take it in that way, and then utilize that grant in a proper fashion so that you can what do you say, upgrade the society by doing this. See, compliance, why government requires compliance is like they can plan for the activities, because this data is going to the government end of the day. Then we have our roads, we have our electricity, we have water supply, we have our hospitals. All these things are planned or they have been executed based on our compliance. And this is where we are not giving it back to the government or back to the society. So that positive framework of your product and your positive mindset, that is more important. And that is where, that's why the grants, if you say your applications are 100 and the grants are 1 or 2, this is because of that bluff automatically can easily, and those people who are there in the committee, they are all experts in that whole field.
Yeah, I think you can bluff and get a grant once. I think to do it twice is very difficult. So when you take something, I think you need to deliver as well. But that way, FiiRE has been very, very supportive. Like we have mentors, we have like advisors, they support us every step of the way. I think today everybody, like entrepreneurship has become the new thing. Startup is the new buzzword. Everyone wants a startup and whatever. But then when your grounding is not firm, the going will be good only for a short time. After that, you will get swarmed with all these. And business is dynamic. You need to always be ahead of the game. It's challenging because people are going to get into your domain. There will be competition. So I think that if you keep all your basics right, if you keep all your compliances right and you keep your paperwork in order, I think there's a lot of peace of mind for you to actually focus on your core business.
And most importantly is building a team. And the team has to be strong. And team has to be passionate, as well as they should be a long-term player, not a short-term this one. Like I do it, then there is some other work that has come up. My ex-employer has called me, I'm going there, and then not concentrating here. That should not happen. You should be firm on your idea that yes, I'm going to do this, I'll make it possible, I'll make it run, I'll make it successful, and then the whole team has to be behind it. It's like a war. So let's take it as a war. You see, it is rather, I will say that you become a senapati, and then the whole thing has to follow. So he has to, then he does not look behind who is there or not. He does not have to do that. So the group has to be there. The team has to be there. So slow, steady building a team. Now we are 2 of us. We already have 1 employee who is working with us. So that is going on. Some few people we are trying to get into onboard them. Onboard them. Already we have a mentor in name from FiiRE. The FiiRE as a big entity for us, like it's a support system. So it's like a fort for us that we are sure that we can always go and ask them any doubt or anything at any point of time. So like we are, and that's where the confidence comes for us. Like yes, yeah, okay, we might fail, no issues. We might do some silly mistake here, silly mistake there. Then we know that, no. Then that time the FiiRE comes into domain. Like then we call Prashant, and at any point of time we call him. We just disturb him at his with our leisure. And he gives a wonderful this one. Then he suggests that you contact with these people. You do have a word with these people. The softwares are there. The product line is to be done, or the website is to be done. These are the people you contact. If you are not able to understand, we'll all sit together, we'll do it. That planning and this one comes, so that helps actually, and that has basically helped us in this.